Good evening to one and all, and welcome to the official Remy Thane channel, where I, your local magic carpet into the world of alternative lifestyles, make sure the information is accessible and bite-sized so you don't choke on it before swallowing on your way into the dark, sticky underbelly of everything not vanilla. This is a follow-up video to the previous video, Building Your Boundaries, and covers enforcing those boundaries. And to be crystal clear, this is subjective. What I am saying and organizing here are examples and suggestions from my personal view and experience. Take what works for you and change it to make it work better for your situation. All these strings are going to make up the rich tapestry that is your journey into this lifestyle, whether you're brand new and finding yourself or someone who's basically a used welcome mat. In order to support this channel, like any other on the internet, like, share, subscribe, always helps. And if you got spare change and you want to help us become a grower and not a shower, check out my Patreon link below and see what other goodies are in store for you. So, let's learn how to enforce your boundaries. If you haven't seen the previous video, and why wouldn't you do that, you bad, naughty thing? Hey, let's just recap real quick. Boundaries are the limits to which you will interact with others, or how you will allow others to interact with you. I won't go over all of the details for the sake of time. Just watch the previous video, punish yourself, come back to this one. Come, spelled C-O-M-E. These enforcements can be applied to all aspects of life, and for the purpose of this video, we're focusing on the alternative lifestyle boundaries in regards to BDSM and their enforcement. As a reminder, how you mentally organize your boundaries is situational, and what I'm suggesting here is a personal preference. You can take some inspiration or just use this as an exact template, whatever works for your situation. I like categorizing things into levels because if something is just messy, I have a malleable template that can help me organize these things better. And do note, this whole video is about someone who is effectively crossing your boundaries repeatedly and refuses to take responsibility for it. What we call in my country a fucking asshole. For me, level 0 is what amounts to actual accidents that are innocuous and have done no long-term or short-term harm. They were things that can be and were corrected the instant it happened. Parties have been respectful with your requests and boundaries, they've shown maturity and responsibility for what occurred, and your feelings for this person have not changed. This is someone you can still trust. No harm, no foul, boundaries respected, hence 0. This is what we hope happens if it does happen. For an example, if I am in a spanking scene with someone and they feel the pain is getting too intense, they will call yellow, an agreed safe word we had. I slow down, go back into a tempo that agrees with them, and the scene continues as is. Or, I'm playing with a brat in a wrestling scene, and they happen to use a phrase I did not agree during negotiations. We pause the scene, I kindly remind them, they apologize, we return back to the scene, and then it never happens again. Level 1 includes incidents during acts of general bondage that don't have an inherent safety risk, whether it's physical, mental, or emotional, such as honorifics or speech patterns or something like service-oriented actions where there is no mental or physical sadism. However, sometimes light forms of impact play do count in this category too. Usually at this level, when this happens, I'm assuming at first, A, the person truly didn't mean it because it really was an accident, or B, they didn't know because of a lack of an education. However, for the sake of the argument, this person continues crossing that boundary that was already clearly stated. In level 1, there is a foul, but there wasn't any harm and boundaries haven't been respected. This can be applied to anything that you deem harmless for yourself, but the other person simply isn't respecting you. I suggest cutting off communication and avoiding this person from that moment forward. If it's an event space, you can report this harassment to a dungeon monitor or even the event organizer. If you have trouble deciding if something is worth reporting, just remember that whatever they did to you, they will eventually do to someone else. And ask yourself, is this information you wish you had before you met this person? Pretty much as an example of something I consider level 1 issue, I don't allow anyone to call me an honorific or title unless they are in a relationship or dynamic with me. So when someone calls me anything other than sir or Remy, I kindly remind them, whoever is speaking to me, that I only want to be referred to those two things. If it continues, they show me they ignore boundaries, so I usually just cut off communication and avoid them from that point forward. If they can't respect a simple boundary like that, I don't trust them with more intense interactions after that. Level 2 happens during acts of BDSM that have an inherent safety risk, whether it's physical, mental, or emotional. Impact play, edge play, humiliation/degradation, and other forms of BDSM that have a spectrum of harm all fall into this category. Think of this as the next tier of danger, but without serious long term injuries or traumas. When boundaries are crossed at this level, I am assuming that A, this person got into the heat of the moment, which means they're inexperienced or miseducated, or B, they're testing the enforcements of my boundaries, which is a tactic that predators use whether they realize it or not. None of these are valid whatsoever. For the sake of the argument, they cross a boundary that was already clearly stated, and at this point, I wouldn't give a reminder of that boundary because now we're dealing with actual harm, and your safety is worth more than a warning. For this level, there was a foul, there was some harm, and boundaries haven't been respected. At this point, even if someone were to do something to you in your green category of boundaries, if you didn't agree to have it done, it's still a violation of your boundary. You did not consent to that. Call your safe word and stop the interaction. People who coerce or pressure or repeatedly have these same accidents are showing predatory behaviors and can't be trusted and therefore are a danger to you and the greater community. With what we talked about at level 1, cutting off all personal interactions and reporting the incidents to staff if you're at an event, another piece is alerting your local community. Safe dungeon spaces, kink groups, and communities normally want to keep the bad folks out. So they're going to want to know what happened to you. This conversation with a DM or a community leader might feel awkward or embarrassing, but speaking as someone who leads kink events, whatever nastiness you were up to won't be my focus. We're all freaks here. Trust me, you're watching this video. Someone's watching you watching a video. Not that kind. Protecting you and my community is what matters as someone who leads the community. If someone brings a cross-boundary safety issue to me, the conversation typically looks like they file a complaint, I receive it, I try to get as much information as I can from them, I try to get information about the person who have offended them and crossed their boundaries, and then from there, I talk to the person to see what we can do to make them feel safer at my event or other events, which may include kicking out the other person, doing a pre-ban, whatever is needed to make sure that my community that I'm building is safer from this other person that was doing harm to another human being. That can run a gamut of things depending on the details of that experience. But keeping a baseline pretty much of predators and douchebags is kind of the base that we have here. And just so you guys know, like, reporting predators keeps everybody safer. You can spread this information and make sure that this predators have easy access to vulnerable people with your local network. And you can research that on popular platforms on the internet, which I'm not going to name because I'm not sponsored by them and I want that money. Even some community phone apps, which again, I'm not going to name because I'm not sponsored them and I want that money. Or social media, who will never sponsor me because this is not the information they want out there. Information is power. Use it. For example, let's say that you like scratching and biting. Don't we all? But you have clearly stated that you do not want marks in areas that clothing cannot hide because it can affect your job, your family, and other important facets to you. But this person that you're playing with keeps going straight for your neck. Ew. Call your safe word, stop the scene. Report this behavior to the event organizer and let them know that who it was and what happened. This person has shown that they can't respect a simple boundary and they have no real control over their faculties, which means they're a danger to you. And if you want to do anything more serious, definitely not this person. Level 3 are acts of BDSM that have crossed your yellow-red boundaries, or acts that have caused long-term and injury to you. This is basically outright civil negligence to crime here. Think of this as the last tier of danger that led to serious long-term injuries or traumas. All of this is active predator territory, whereas before you could have explained it by lack of judgment or idiocy at freaking best. There's a couple of versions of this. Someone who doesn't respect you or consent, or someone with disregard for safety and well-being because they think they know more than they actually do. This person is a danger to everyone. Whether you're in a private interaction or public event, you need to get documentation. This means getting eyewitness accounts of what happened and their information, going to medical professionals to document your sustained injuries, or anyone or anything that can corroborate your experience. You need to pile on every bit of evidence as much as you can to validate what happened to you when taking this to local authorities or a lawyer. A paper trail that can be used against these predators will keep everyone safer, especially when new kinksters are doing their vetting processes. By doing these sorts of actions, you will have helped keep future kinksters be safer. One of the examples I can give you, which happened a few years ago out in here in California. For example, you volunteer as a rope bottom for a bondage suspension scene when the structure of the rope top used breaks apart, causing you to fall and break a bone. Not only does the rope top refuse to take responsibility for the collapse, but they blame you for it. Get audience eyewitness information. Head to the hospital to document the break. Let everyone in your network know what unprofessional piece of shit that you just dealt with and their behaviors, especially venues that would hire someone like that, and take that bitch to court. Here's the rub. What these entities do with the information you give is on them. There's bare minimums that kink spaces do in order to create a safer environment, like a removal of that person for the night to an outright ban from the entire event space, or sharing that ban list with other sister sites and organizations in the local area. If laws are broken, there are thresholds that law enforcement needs to have evidence of before proceeding with any enforcement. Unfortunately, as we all know, there are groups and individuals out there that will protect these predators for all sorts of reasons, either actively or systemically. But it shows you what kind of place or person that you're dealing with and why you shouldn't give them your time, your money, or your energy. And the way to hurt these event spaces for their lack of accountability is by making sure they literally can't keep their lights on, by letting everyone know that these entities protect predators. Boycott their events. Take yours and your network's patronage to another establishment, or create a safe space of your own for others like yourself, amongst other types of protest actions one can take, which is one hell of a way to get a point across, with varying degrees of success all around the world. Part of RAC is also recognizing the risk that if you do get hurt, you may not get retribution in this scene due to systemic and societal issues. We already know that injustice exists widely across the world, so closure and peace isn't something we get to have without a fight. And all we can do is get as much as we possibly can and protect others whenever possible. Vetting and negotiating will take you far, and enforcing your boundaries will stop others from going farther with you. Enforcing boundaries is for dominants and submissives all alike. And most of your interactions are generally going to be level 0s and level 1s, because most people mind their own business and they just want to have a good time with other like-minded nerds. But because this is an alternative lifestyle community with extreme acts in it, it attracts extreme personalities, i.e. predatory assholes or immature drama-creating folks, which is why level 2 and level 3 exist. We want to keep these types away from the greater community and to prevent them from doing any further harm to you or anyone else. So, for your lovely journey into this scene, do your best by staying sharp, taking your time with vetting, and making your boundaries an immovable wall. And if you ever come across someone who crosses your boundaries, raise some goddamn hell. This has been Enforcing Your Boundaries by your kink fiend and friend, Remy K. Thang. Thanks for watching, you guys.